We got a little bit of a startled look there because we were a
Streamy
bit like,
glitch.
oh dear, we had a
Glitchy
streaming.
stream.
Yeah, a bit of a dodgy stream today. Anyway, welcome back. This is the Barefoot Broadcast Show, where we have a little bit of fun and get a bit of light relief on Planet Shit Show. I'm Louisa Munson. I'm joined here by my wonderful husband, Mr. Carl Munson. Carl, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Why-
Rumor has
why
it
are
that
you-
you've
why are you talking-
rumor has it that you've just invited me here to laugh at my how I speak at the moment.
Yeah.
You were trying. You said very kind. Well, kind of unkindly, kindly. You wanted to giggle quite a lot on the morning show this morning because
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. I have a natural dental process in progress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like industrial and natural childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've already put myself into some hot water here, haven't I? I'm not.
Why?
I'm not in any way comparing having teeth out with having babies out.
Do you know what? It completely went over my head. It's
Thank
fine.
God. But now you're thinking about it.
It's fine.
Hi, Barry. I have a wobbly tooth. That actually, what's interesting about this is it's a tooth that I had some trouble with in Devon before we left, and it's been a little bit suspect. And I've had to care for it very, very carefully, gently. And I think it's on the way out now. It's coming out. It may be being pushed out. And I think it's making me talk a little bit like Cliff Richard or the Bee Gees. Because I can't, the way that my teeth rest together and the way that I form words has been affected because I can't do it in the same because it hurts a little bit.
Yeah, on this morning show, I was wondering if people were deliberately writing in words with
sibilant
S's.
things.
Yes, yeah, because
it's not so much the S's.
You sure
or the
about
second.
That?
It does sound like it to you, does it?
Yeah.
I think it's everything. It's generally all the words that I'm forming sound a little bit weird. Like
it's like you got a pair of false teeth in.
Yeah, it is
like
a bit
one of
like
the
that.
Gibb brothers.
Mm,
Although I think they were actually their real teeth. Anyway, let's.
Well, this is a real tooth. And what I was going to say
Yeah.
about natural childbirth, hospitalized, industrialized childbirth, I am following the natural tooth extraction route. I am letting my body take its course. Now, some people would think that was madness, wouldn't they?
Probably, yeah.
But I'm actually seeing what that's like because I do have to. I choose to be more honouring of my body and rather than take it through. Is he going to get his pliers? A bit of string. I know a woman I work with who used to pull her own teeth out with pliers. No messing.
Yeah, and she wrapped cotton around it.
Oh, she did all sorts, didn't she? And she has come to mind. Not that I'm going to go and see her or anything like that, but she has come to mind. I mean, if it really got to it, I would do that, or even go see a dentist.
Well,
there is that.
Funny you mention that. Barry, who says I'll go fetch my pliers. His sister is actually a dentist, I believe.
Who I'm sure would recommend I just get it sorted out and stop.
I think she'd probably be going.
Unbelievable behavior.
Anyway, let's welcome people in because remember we're trying to keep this to 30 minutes.
Let's do that.
So we got Barry McGrath from where are you, Barry? You in the north of England? Let us know. We got Suze back.
Well, hey,
Suze is
you two again.
Yeah, glad for an afternoon show. And Daniel Lufkin.
Or Homme Pobre. I don't know what pobre means, but I am
actually
the man of something there.
Yeah.
Pobre, I don't know. Speech impediment.
Who knows? The speech impediment man. That's interesting.
What a brilliant name for the stage.
So Susan's saying, I'm very tired and have arthritic aches.
Yeah.
Was trying to nap, failed. Took taxi. That's Susie's dog to groomer.
Or she might have taken a taxi. Oh no, that is a dog. Yeah.
She might have taken. Yeah, took a taxi to groomer early. Costed 3 times as much as Ponta de Lima and not nearly as good.
Yeah, there you go.
So, are you coming back to Portugal soon, Suze?
Certainly is. That's
and
the plan.
Barry is watching us from Hull, up in the north of England.
Oh, Hull, right.
Hull.
I've got you. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about today's show is about drawing a bigger line. Do you want to say a few words about that? Well, actually, before we get going, you need to tell us about the gong, don't you?
Yeah, please. At around 10 minutes past and 20 minutes past, or 10 minutes into the show and 20 minutes into the show, could please somebody represent a gong sound of some sort, which will cause us to pause and come to our senses. And it's for me and Louisa to do, but anyone can take part in that as well. Just to, when we start thinking about things, you tend to come out of your body and your somatic self and into the world of ideas. And clearly, this world is run by heads, is it not, and rationality, and it isn't very balanced with the I wouldn't have said in a holistic way, with people responding from their bodily selves. You could say that, lust and desire is a bodily function, but a lot of that, of course, is in the mind as well.
Yeah.
And the true needs of the body are quite buried. So we have a nice little remembrance of the body. If someone could sound a gong at around 10, well, in about how much for 3 or 4 minutes from now, and in about 15 minutes from now, would be great.
It's just so we can have a crazy little stop. And you might notice, if you know us quite well, you might notice we're both full of cold as well. We're both sniffing and coughing.
What a mess.
We are a bit of a mess at the moment.
Yeah.
Suze is saying she's preparing docs for visas, and we've got our good friend Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, lovely to see you.
Hola, boa noite.
Yeah, hi.
So yeah, let's get going. What is drawing a bigger line?
Well, if I may do a new age name drop,
it
was Satish Kumar who said, one way of dealing with problems is to draw a bigger line. Did you transfer that picture, that Boris Johnson headline, into play? Okay, well, you can do this with anyone who might trigger you, which is part of this exercise. But one way of dealing with problems, as Satish Kumar once said, was to draw a bigger line next to it, which I think is a brilliant recommendation, suggestion. And I posted up a picture of a Daily Express headline, and immediately, if I say Daily Express, I mean it just doesn't take much, does it, to get people going? And I guess that's the first bit of value. If you find yourself being triggered by anything that's being said here, our intention is not to trigger you. Honestly, this isn't a show to trigger people. We're not that part of the media.
Yeah.
Our intention is to offer a bit of light relief on Planet Shit Show. And I think part of that is helping people when they are triggered. And inevitably, in every area of life now, it would appear we're never far from a trigger, are we? Yeah. So here's something which helps me to illustrate the point of drawing a bigger line next to something. And I really think it's time. Oh, where do I go? I think it's time for the bigger lines, quite honestly. So Daily Express headline, if you're not familiar with it, this is the United Kingdom, or the not very United Kingdom, you might say, and ex-Prime Minister Boris Johnson is promising a new golden age. And I put that on my Facebook timeline saying, have you got ideas, a vision and resources and people who will support you? Because he clearly has. And of course, where we're at the moment in the world, as I said, of being in the mind, that's put in your face by the papers for you to say, I like that, or I don't like that. And that keeps you at the level of engaging with is that the Hegelian dialectic, is it? When you come into a discussion with somebody.
I thought it was where you have a thesis and then the antithesis, like the opposite,
this is
comes,
different.
and then you get a synthesis in the middle.
Well, no, this is where you have a feces, which is that, and you decide whether it smells or not. But the point I'm making is that when somebody premises an argument or debate or idea with you, you are then in that context of where they're at and what they've said. And the choice you have is to draw a bigger line next to that. Okay. And that is to come up with some ideas of your own. Have you got bigger and better ideas than Boris Johnson? Yeah. And are you doing anything about it?
Yeah. So Barry's saying, I don't believe him. I have to say, I also similarly don't believe him.
Don't believe what that he's got a promises for a new golden age. I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he is promising a new golden age, but I don't believe that he can deliver that.
Sure. But you could also argue that he's in a better position to deliver what he's talking about than you or I are at this moment. And that's what I'm saying. The bigger line here would be us saying what our vision for the golden age is and getting on with it and making it happen.
Yeah, arguably, I would say I've got more control over how I live my life than he does. I mean, although like people,
over your life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously during the pandemic, we had fears that we might get forced into different ways of being, and that did feel quite scary. The funny thing is, we just carried on doing what we wanted to do, and
we did it.
Yes. We kind of did do it kind of in alignment with everyone else.
Yeah.
What we did was we just did what we wanted to do away from everyone else, thereby not causing any problems. But, you know, I really think in what you're saying, you know, it's time for us to create more joy. Like we could say, oh my God, you know, I don't want him to piss up my life anymore. You know, he's made a pig's ear of things. To be fair, I'd say that across the board about most politicians.
It's almost their job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to call it. No one's calling a gong. I'm going to call a gong.
Okay. Yeah, it is a good time to calm down a bit, isn't it? I get a bit worked up. Hang on. I felt that then.
Oh, me too. And it wasn't the pea soup I've been making, which is also making itself known to me at the moment.
Yeah,
you might want to stay off it. It's been cooking for 2 days now.
Yeah, I'm not going to eat it.
Those lectins are really resisting the process.
Yeah, it's not. You didn't soak the peas long enough.
Well, I've cooked them for 2 days now. Anyway, one makes one's own fate. Yeah. Depends on your perspective. Doesn't everything? I mean, absolutely. Oh, and we want to invite Dane here, don't we?
Yeah.
We want to do a little invitation to a guest this evening as well while we're here. So I would say this is a very good example, isn't it? Is that we could carry on talking about Boris, or we could talk about our bigger lines that we're going to draw next to Boris's line that he's offered.
Yeah.
Thought I'd pop in and say hi. Just working from home. Just home work. No, not working from. Just home working in faff. It's a bit of a faff.
Hey, Owen.
His job is a bit of a faff at the moment.
Cool. So Susie's saying my friend whose house I'm in is coming back to Vancouver after 3 months in Wiltshire, UK, Morocco, and briefly Lisbon. I prepared a basket of her fave snacks as a belated birthday and welcome home gesture. Well, that's really nice.
That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely.
So drawing a bigger line then.
What are your bigger lines, folks?
Well, I mean, we have kind of unashamedly, you know, we're not keeping it hidden or anything. We've got ourselves into a bit of a tax pickle in recent times. I learnt very recently that I've got to somehow generate 23% extra on top of all my work. And initially I crumbled, like really seriously crumbled and thought, oh, crikey, you know, whoa, how am I going to do that? How am I going to incorporate that onto my regular clients? What's going to happen? And I was just so caught up in the problem of it that I was just going round and round and kind of sinking. I mean, I was pretty unreachable for about 4 or 5 days. And then you reminded me to draw a bigger line. And that bigger line is that there's a much better opportunity. There's much more, you know, there's better clients out there, clients that might be wealthier, more interesting, more adventurous, and just started to, it's not like turn a frown upside down, because that just, you know,
stop moaning.
Yeah, it's not that, because like, I mean, all you're doing there is just putting a smile on your face. But I was actually just starting to create a bigger vision for my business.
Yeah.
So rather than think, oh God, I'm stuck in it, all of a sudden, I'm just thinking so much bigger, and it feels flipping scary at times. And it does feel like we're going to be paying the tax man back quite considerably this year, which is a bit of a bugger. Because
can I just say you don't really have any choice with that. When you say paying the tax man, you mean you're going to be paying more than you, or more. Well, yeah. I mean, their view will be you're paying what you owe, but it is considerably more than you planned for. I think
definitely,
is the point.
Yeah. And it's because we didn't get the right advice when we moved,
and we weren't very organised about it. To be fair, as well.
I mean, you can tell
it's not our forte.
We're a couple of hippies. We're not really built for this kind of thing. And it's just a bit disappointing, because I was hoping that I could increase my prices for me rather than for the taxman, but so be it. But in the process, things have just got so much more exciting, and I'm kind of grateful to
I'm glad you think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like hold on to your seats. So I'm wondering, like, where are you, like, drawing bigger lines in your life at the minute?
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go on.
Because something else occurred to me about that is, you drew a bigger line, didn't you? You drew a bigger line of.
It took me a good few days.
Instead of looking at the tax problem,
yeah,
you looked at your business life and the potential of your business, which, if you expanded it, would take care naturally of the problem of tax.
Yeah.
Another thing that occurred to me, you know, sometimes we talk about 7 generation thinking.
Yeah.
and we know what is it we're creating in a much longer term. People who think like that, and I was watching the biography of the guy who started Patagonia,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize he and his wife were involved in Esprit and North Face as well.
Oh wow.
And then he went on to buy loads of and create loads of national parks in Chile and Argentina.
Yeah.
And this, it's hard to imagine how this guy spent 5 months a year kayaking, mountain climbing, and skiing, and still managed to do all of that, and then buy all these incredible. I mean, I have to confess that I didn't warm to him as a person or his wife. There was something about them that I just felt a little bit awkward about. And I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just saying that was my, because I quite often, if inspirational people to me, I feel quite warm towards, but I just couldn't connect with them as humans, but I could connect with their vision and what they've created. And somebody who is up for creating that level of impact in the world and on the planet is probably not worried about the little tax bill problem they've got locally or domestically. That will come into the bigger picture. So I think the bigger the line, the bigger picture you've got in life, the more that casts a shadow and puts into perspective what can seem and what are in many ways quite daunting things.
Yeah.
But it is, maybe that's the time when you feel threatened, and you're in the boxing ring with a problem, if you like, is to make the boxing ring bigger, or to make the stadium that it's in bigger, change the audience, and do some of those kind of NLP-ish type things, to instead of focusing down on the taxman punching you in the face with the boxing
which
glove.
at some level it does feel like that's
Going
on.
It does, yeah. But so instead of that, or as well as that, don't ignore that that's how you feel, or that's what how you've conceived of it. But then, like, okay, so I can be in a bigger ring. I can have other opponents. I can have other trainers. I can have other inspiration. I can have an audience, a room full of people cheering me, and helping me. So it can be changed, and bigger lines, I think, need to be drawn. And the other thing I'd like to add to that is there is such an absence, because people tend to hook into what they're presented with. That being a very good example, Biden saying something, Trump saying something, Boris saying something. When you get pulled into that conversation, you can forget. I'm like Paris at the moment.
Yeah.
There is outrage, it would appear, against Macron, but actually setting a few cars on fire and fighting him. Well, not even him. The people are fighting armed riot cops and getting terribly hurt by the look of it, by being on the street, being outraged about that. That to me is, I mean, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't do that, but what I'm saying is I don't know, I'm not aware of bigger lines being drawn. Like if a government is able to just at will say we're reducing the working age, or extending it for 2 years, and sorry, our pension promise doesn't mean anything anymore, and we're not even going to vote on it. I'm just saying that's how we're doing it, like a dictator. You need to be creating a new system, and you need to be busy creating a new system, which arguably could be a little bit more useful than setting cars on fire.
Well, you know what? I quite like the bigger line that the Canadian truckers drew. And that's not to say I think they're right or wrong. And I know, I mean, Suze, you'll know people in Canada that really support them and probably really hate them. I'm not kind of judging them, but I like the line that they drew. There was an impasse and they weren't being listened to. And their bigger line was, well, we're going to bring this to you in such a big way that you cannot ignore it and you cannot ignore us, while still also making sure that medical supplies got through and things like that. It was quite, from my perspective, watching from here, it looked like quite a brave way of approaching an intractable position.
And often it gets to that, doesn't it? It would seem.
Yeah.
Well, that thing I was
Which is
watching
very, very
about...
different to like the riots in Paris. Again, I don't want to judge them as right or wrong. It's not my place.
Rioters going to riot. I mean, no question about that. And there are lines, aren't there, at work? There are the accepted lines that the media play with.
Yeah.
And there are other lines as well. There are much bigger lines to be drawn and invented that would shadow those, or put them into the shadow. Oh,
Louisa, you're looking especially pretty today. Suze, I love you. Thank you for that.
May I agree? And, people love the gong, if only to just shut us up for a bit.
I don't blame them. Thanks, Barry. Mm. Oh, I felt a tingle there.
People are perhaps wishing they could send this into other TV presenters. Pip Schofield and whoever she's called, Holly might get a letter, mightn't they? I watch this podcast, and every now and then, the audience are allowed to shut them up. Can we do that for you for half a minute, Pip? Yeah, so there you go. That's my theory of, well, it's Satish's theory of bigger lines.
Yeah.
And it would appear the time, I think whenever I find myself getting dragged into at a conventional line, as in, the line about Boris, the line about the Paris riots, the line about the bank collapses. Okay, fair enough. I'll have an opinion on that, no question. And as you say, Barry, it's all a matter of perspective, and we've all got a point of view, a perspective on these things. And yep, Dutch farmers. That was another bigger line, wasn't it? That was, I mean, literally a bigger line of tractors driving to the Dutch Parliament.
Yeah.
And now they've got their own political representation, I think, in a marvelous show of, democracy.
Did your teeth come out then?
No, it's the pea soup.
It just sounds gross.
Yeah. Right. Do you feel able to invite Dane here onto our show?
Yeah.
Fancy doing that live? Like we can do it. I want to take a little clip out of this.
Yeah.
I've got my paracetamol here.
Oh, you're so...
Dane, Carl and Louisa here, and we'd like to invite you to be interviewed with us on this Barefoot broadcast. We are massive fans of yours. Is that right, Louisa?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we love Access Consciousness. We love what you talk about with your, I've forgotten his name now.
Gary Douglas.
Gary Douglas, of course. Sorry, Gary, for forgetting your name. And Dane, sorry for forgetting Gary's name. But sometimes I've seen you in your videos, Dane. Your mind is all over the place. And I've got a toothache today, so forgive me for forgetting Gary's name. You two are incredible. And also another name I've forgotten, the wonderful lady who works with you, Simone as well. Yes, yeah. Simone, you three are incredible. And you have made such an impact on our lives just recently. With your idea of consciousness, with so much of what you share, and so prolifically, Dane. I take my hat off to you. I thought I posted a lot and published a lot and podcasted a lot, but you, my friend, are amazing. Will you come and talk to us?
Yeah, we want to talk about from, what was it, scapegoat to superhero, like how you can thrive with ease and joy and glory.
Because we love what you say about what you think is wrong with you is right with you, or what is wrong is strong, really. And we are people who've moved from the UK to Portugal, and so we work with people, foreigners, immigrants, expats here. And we know that there's a bit of a psychology going on with expats. People sometimes can be running away, can't they, if they change country? And we want to look at how sometimes the black sheep of the family, the scapegoat, might be that person who moves away. And what if what was wrong about that was right about that? And how can we have a conversation about scapegoats and people who run away? What if that could be turned into something else? How could we have a different point of view about that? And would you come and have that conversation with us about that?
We want to know what else is possible.
What else is possible? Absolutely, Dane. With that. So please come and talk to us on the Barefoot broadcast.
Yeah. Anyway, how does that tie into what we were actually doing? Susie's saying there's a lot of mention of lines followed by meditative moments. I must have missed something. Yeah, we're talking about lines and how, when we have a difficulty, how sometimes you need to almost draw a much bigger line. So, for instance, I mentioned like a tax issue. But actually, I was doing a show with somebody, and I've been doing it for about 2 years. Really dear friend, and we record shows. We like have a chat about different things. And it just wasn't going anywhere. And we love spending time together, but it wasn't a great use of either of our time. And I could have just thought, damn, this is getting a little bit stale. And yet I love hanging out and chatting with my friend. But actually what's happened is we've had this we just said, let's see what else is possible to use what we're talking. Carl was just trying to invite our favorite coach onto the show. But, me and him sat down and we said, look, this isn't quite working the way it is, but I know something else is possible. And it's like drawing a line next to it and creating something so much bigger that the original problem almost ceases to be, because you just can't see it in the same way. And what's come out of it is we're doing this massive project at the minute, looking at intergenerational relationships. And this is a whole other discussion for another day. But have you ever noticed like how I'm guessing most of us here are Gen Xers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From everyone I can see in the chat, we're all Gen Xers together. And I've been looking at the millennials downwards from me and thought, they're a bit whingy towards us and they're a bit remote and I don't always understand them.
Projection.
Yeah, totally. And I've always looked at the baby boomers and thought, flipping heck, you sit on your asses. You say, oh yes,
Here we go.
I'm retired and I've worked my ass off. And
Over
now
to you now, guys.
And now I can do it. And I think, you know what, you could really give back. You could, now you don't have to pay your mortgages off and stuff. And you've got this, because you bought your house at the right time, because thanks to your great timing in birthing,
Not bitter.
But you know what I mean? So I've been looking up and not really seeing any elders or great examples. And then I've been looking down and thinking, not feeling very connected. And so what my friend and I, funnily enough, he's a baby boomer and he's one of these exceptions. And I'm pretty sure that most, like you guys here, you all think differently. You're not narrative followers. You've all got something about you, like, how can we connect with all the other people across generations? Because it's almost seeded in us that we don't do that. So, like from our little problem of, we do these conversations, are they going anywhere? We're now like setting up this massive project and it's going to...
Well, that's a bigger line. That is a great example of a bigger line, isn't it?
And the funny thing is, just as I did that, I started to get loads of millennials contact me for astrology work. So, yeah.
It's a really good example, that, because the regular narrative is that, oh, these youngsters, they're so woke and they don't listen, and they're this and they're that, and that could really and understandably be seen as a failure of eldership, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Which, if you're
going, fair play to them, they might get pissy with us. They look at us and think, oh.
But without any conversational connection, there can't be any improvement, I would say. And reaching out is harder than moaning about how it is. The current line, it's literally, there's a line between the generations, and people tend to moan about it, don't they? That it's all going to hell in a handcart. These youngsters don't care. They haven't got a political bone in their body, etc., etc.
That's not true, is it?
Well, I don't know, because it may or may not be true, but we don't have the conversations to find out, do we? And it is more difficult to have the conversations to approach that. You could be kind of lazy and stay within the lines, couldn't you? And going beyond the lines takes more effort. But I would say, going beyond the lines is going to bring the juiciest and most rewarding outcomes, and be something of a gift for both parties. For the oldies and the young, something great could come of that. But there seems to be a natural rule that breaking out of the status quo and the current lines and drawing bigger lines is harder work, but it also comes with greater reward and fulfillment.
Yeah, all of a sudden you start to see that more is possible, don't you? So I like your comment, Barry. Now we sound like Grandad. The funny thing is, our Grandad, if he was alive now, would be 104 or 105. So he wouldn't even be in the baby boomers. He'd have been looking down on the baby boomers.
The war generation.
Yeah. He's saying we have allowed them to lose the art of communication.
Yeah. Is that looking, if we're in a tree, is that looking up or looking down?
Yeah.
Have we lost the art of communication with the baby boomers as well? Because just because it's hard to communicate with people doesn't mean you have to give up, does it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what often happens. We blame the other person because our message hasn't been received or heard.
Yeah.
And that might be especially the case with the young, mightn't it? It might be something to do with how we're communicating what we're saying.
Yeah. Susie's saying a line can bend into a learning curve. I like that. Satish Kumar missed a trick there. Anyway, we're at 30 minutes. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have no idea when we're actually going to do these. We just started them this week, but we're having fun. And that was our bigger line, funnily enough. We just wanted to have a bit of an experiment and just get on our soapboxes. And
this is in itself a bigger line.
Yeah, I mean, at some level, I'd like us to, all be part of a community. Like, I'm not talking living with you all, but
A cult or something like that.
No, nothing like that. But just a place where people can hang out and come and go and chip in and not, But
I think to me it seems like that's exactly what it is. Do you mean between shows?
Yeah,
like
I don't
in
know.
a social media space.
I'm just curious to see what comes of us having fun.
Yeah, and drawing this bigger line. Because it comes from the Inspiracy Theory show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that for me was definitely a bigger line of seeing myself being at that level and staying at that level of conspiracy theory and victim of other people's agendas.
Yeah.
And this is a fantastic reminder to me every time we do this that it's important to speak about and conceive of something bigger than we're currently being offered.
Yeah. Barry, I just want to ask before I go, you have an orange sheet. Is that like you're a Buddhist or something? What is that? Well, I don't get that.
Is it like a white flag, but it means something different? Do you need a different kind of help with your orange sheet? Do we wait and find out just in case we're missing a cry for help here?
If we're missing your cry for help, just send me a message.
Yeah, text us. Oh, there was one other thing as well.
What's that?
A mailbag. We got a bit of a mailbag. We do welcome
really?
things for the mailbag, and I know we shouldn't really go on much beyond 30 minutes. But hi, how are you? I saw something yesterday about life being a circle of sleep, work, art, entertainment, sleep. Where did I see that? It's like, bloody hell, I don't know. So we'll make something up for that mailbag person, yeah? Because we can't go looking on the internet for you. I mean, that is pushing it a bit, I think, dear contributor. So what would you say about that? What would you say about the circle of sleep, work, eat, entertainment, sleep? I'd say stop it. What would you say?
Well, we're not doing much sleeping. We're doing a lot of
Lucky you.
We're doing a lot of work at the minute, but I would say the way we live is we've drawn a different line. I mean, we still do have all those cycles going on, but we've never really been on the treadmill. Like we both work from home.
Yeah, we're lucky to have broken out of that.
Well, no, we've created our own treadmill.
Yes,
but at least we're answering to ourselves and also failing ourselves when it goes wrong.
Yes,
but
Barry's got the uniform for the cult.
Oh, fantastic!
It's always good to have an orange sheet standing by, ready to join a cult.
I love it.
Yeah. And definitely get off the treadmill. Definitely stop that. It's self-abuse. So there you go.
It really is.
Barry, thank you for that. So for the person who said, I saw something yesterday about the life being a circle of sleep, work, eat, entertainment, sleep. Where did I see that? Don't know. But Barry says, stop that. It's self-abuse. There you go. Answer for the mailbag.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And Sue's last comment from Sue's is, I think for me, outside the lines is my norm in many aspects of life. Conventional rituals and traditions baffle me, e.g. heir and spare. Why give the crown to the oldest, to the smartest is sensible. Now,
a bigger line would be, what's the better idea? What's the better idea is the bigger line. Because you missed the bit at the beginning, Suze. We're not talking about alternatives to the standard lines. We're talking about bigger lines drawn next to them that make them pale into insignificance. And that's what I think there's an absence of in the world that we live in at the moment.
Yeah, like our alternatives is like conservative or liberal or Democrats and Republicans, so like people think that they've got a different choice, and it's two sides of the same coin.
And this example from you, thank you, Suze. I don't mean to diminish what you're saying in any way, but what I'm aware of in our society in the UK is the line of monarchy, and then people put themselves on that line or off it as Republicans or monarchists. If you're going to draw a bigger line, it's a matter of coming up with a better system that most people can see is a better system, and will not only see that but adopt it as well. And Charles might thank you for that. He's not going well so far.
Anyway, I think we should go. I told you I was tired. It was a really great comment.
Yeah, it really is. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I would say if I was going to consider the monarchy, I would think a bigger line would be outside of even having a monarchy, but who knows? Yeah. Anyway, join us another time. We don't know when we're going to do it, but hey, thank you for being with us today, and let's have some more fun another time.
Goodbye.
Have a great weekend. Bye.